Okay, by the way, I always recommend test mounting the engine onto the engine mount. Make sure everything is good and ready before you try to put this on the airplane. So this is something I would do anyways. So the clear plastic piece goes on the side of the engine. So you got one on that side, and you got one on this side. Okay. Then the more opaque white piece goes on top of that. Okay. Now this is for what they call anti-vibration, and I guess it helps. I've never known engines to vibrate as much as you need to do all this stuff, but it's okay. It's a nice mount. Okay. So now I got both sides there. Okay. Now I'm going to drop that onto the engine mount and find out where the two holes are. And in this case, you don't need these bars. They would be in the way, I think. So I'm going to put a lock washer on and a flat washer on. And then on the next bolt, lock washer, flat washer, next bolt, lock washer, flat washer, next bolt, lock washer, and flat washer. So I got 4 bolts ready to go. So I'm going to start on the hard side. The hard side is, can I drop this bolt through between the that's an interesting problem. Oh, I can't. Okay, so let's see how I'm going to get this on. I'll be right back. This is why you do the test. Okay, I'm back, and the bolt and the washers won't slip between the nipple and the needle valve. So I'm just going to put this bolt in first. In fact, you can put all 4 bolts in before you get there, make it easier. So I'm going to have the 2 bolts on this and then just slide that in place. Okay, on one side. Now the other side is not a problem because that's where the muffler goes, and these should drop in hopefully very simply. Not really. So I'm going to tilt it out a little bit and drop it in and then put those on. By the way, when you're doing this, make sure you don't scratch this where the muffler is attached. That is a flat steel seal, so it's steel to steel seal, and if any scratches it'll leak. So don't do that. Don't let it leak. Okay, so now I got the engine with these 4 bolts through it, and now we're going to carefully drop the 4 bolts into the engine mount, and this may take some wiggling to get them all down. Oh, okay, how about turning the engine mount over? Make sure this is up, and it'll fit probably a whole lot better. How about that? It does. Okay, so now you get all these bolts down. Okay, and I'm going to start these screws just enough to show you that you can start them. Okay, so I'm going to hold that down and start the screw, start the nut. Now these, when you're using these white anti-vibration things, there's not a lot of thread left sticking out there. Okay, so you just have to have enough to get it started. And let me grab my Phillips to get a couple more rotations on it. And this is where you need to be careful when you're using your Phillips here to not get it scratched here where the muffler goes. Okay, So that's that easy to start that nut. And then we'll see if we can get the next nut going. As I said before, sometimes it's good to practice what you're doing to see what the issues are before you try to do it for real. And in this particular case, these nuts fit into a recess that is sized just for that nut. So you gotta sort of get that nut in there and then start twisting it down. There we go. All you want to do is get the nut started enough to hold it in place. And then you do the same thing on the other side. The hardest one is going to be the one in front here. Fortunately, I can see that that bolt is sticking out more. So let's see if I can get that one going just right. Okay. Okay, so I've got all four. I got all four nuts in place, and actually one fell off. Let me get that back on, as I was lifting it up here. So what you have to do is push the bolt out far enough to get the nut down in its little recess, and then start the bolt like that. Okay, so all four bolts are in place and all four nuts are in place. Now, noticing you might have to find a tinier screwdriver than this one. Let me get my tiny Phillips. And so what you're going to do is, and I kicked the camera, didn't I? Alright, so what you're going to do is take a tinier Phillips screwdriver, it'll work, and tighten that down without scratching the nipple or the needle valve. So this tiny little Phillips will work just as well as the larger Phillips, and that tightens down well. So that's how you're going to do it. I'm going to stop here and take this all apart, and then in the next video I'll show you how to mount this to the firewall. Thank you.